we are going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be interviewing a man by the name of Joe Blystone, a constitutional conservative, and he is running for governor here in the state of Ohio. I think he has a lot to offer. I'm very excited for this interview, and I'm excited for you to hear this interview. After giving this interview and kind of hearing what Joe had to say, I am absolutely behind voting for Joe Blystone for governor for Ohio. And I hope for those who are listening who are from Ohio, you can also get the same encouragement that I got. And if you're from another state, I think you can still get a lot of great advice from Joe and also a lot of encouragement to see what's going on in other states around you and hoping for the best for your own state as well. But today we're going to talk to Joe Blystone, see why he's running for governor in Ohio, and learn a little bit more about him. This and much more today on Politically Insane. All right, before we get into the interview with Joe Blystone, I do want to let everyone know that our sponsor today is We the People Holsters. We the People Holsters is one of my favorite sponsors because they just have so many great products. Of course, first, starting off with their holster, they've got some amazing designs on their holsters. They have just an amazing holster. It's a holster made out of Kydex, and it just simply fits your gun. It is made specifically for the gun of your choosing. If you're not looking for a holster, but you're looking for some patriotic t shirts or other apparel, things like hats, other accessories, they've got it all. They've got Let's Go Brandon shirts. They've got the shirt that I'm wearing now, We the People, kind of showing in the shape of a gun. They've got so much on their website. I really do love We the People holsters. And for a limited time right now, they're offering my listeners 20% off. So don't miss this offer. Make sure to go check out wethepeopleholsters.com and use code INSANE for that 20% off just for being my listener. Again, I love We the People Holsters, one of my favorite sponsors. So go check them out. Go check them out and support them and use code INSANE for 20% off at wethepeopleholsters.com. All right, let's get into the interview. All right, welcome back to Politically Insane, everyone. Today is a special one for me. I've got a very special guest with me, Joe Blystone, who's running for governor. Joe, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me on, Josh. I sure do appreciate it.
Yeah, so Joe, of course, you know just about as well as I do. For people who are voting, of course, it's always nice to discuss important issues and stuff like that, and to kind of get that out there so people know who they're voting for. But I think before we get into those issues and discuss those, let's first kind of talk about you, because for me as a voter, I think a lot of people feel more comfortable voting for someone that they feel like they know a little bit more personally. And so, first off, just kind of talk about yourself. Where are you from? And also, are you native to Ohio?
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's why I think Ohio's worth fighting for. I've been here my entire life. I was born here. Actually born up in Columbiana County, which is up in the Rust Belt, up in northeastern Ohio, out around a speck in the road called Lisbon. So grew up there until I was about a freshman in high school, and then my folks moved down here closer to central Ohio. You know, I'm a farmer, first generation farmer. We run a cow calf operation to feedlot. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm the guy that's willing to take risk to be successful. That's kind of like that's kind of been the path of my entire life. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but that's where entrepreneurship comes in. And if you don't risk, you're probably not going to succeed.
Yeah.
So I built a business here on the farm. We raise cattle. I built a packing house on the farm back here in 2004 because I was tired of all the politics again at the local livestock yard. And we were able to control our livestock from birth to consumer hands. So it's been well received in our local community around the Columbus area. local products, locally grown, is pretty big. And to be quite honest, I think that's pretty big around the state for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's been well for us. We started out with 2 employees, and back in 2004, and today we employ about 70 people on this farm. So we've been pretty blessed. I believe that if you just go down the road that God pushes you down, He will bless you, and that's kind of the way I live my life. And unfortunately, in the last 2 years, it just hasn't been a lot of fun living in this state, and everybody's just kind of tired. They're wore out. They just want to just live again, and they want to be left alone. And for some reason, the government just can't leave us alone. They keep overreaching, and I think they have overreached just a little too much in the past 2 years. And I believe that the storm is coming. We're going to take back this state. We're going to take back this country and get it back to what it was built on, and most essentially freedom. We want our freedom back, and I'm pretty excited to see the movements going, not only in this country but up north. Our neighbors up north in Canada, I mean, they're rising up too. So it's a blessing to see, and I'm glad that people are finally waking up and getting involved.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's really the same idea of why I started this podcast, Politically Insane, as well. And I think we do need to kind of fight back to kind of get back there to where we first started. We have strayed pretty far away, but it's exciting to hear all of the movements like you mentioned.
Right.
And you kind of describe yourself as a constitutional conservative. If you would kind of explain what that means to the rest of us, and then also kind of explain what platform you're running on as governor, as you're running for governor, whether you're running for Republican or as a Democrat or and a independent.
Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the Republican Party, I've always been a conservative. I've always been a Republican. I'm kind of ashamed of the Republicans these days. At least the Democrats, we know what we're getting out of them. But if you're a Republican, they're kind of dinking us behind the curtain. So we don't know what we're getting from them. But at the end of the day, it truly isn't conservatism. I think they've lost their way. I think they're just the other wing on that bird of corruptness. And whether it's in Columbus or Washington, all these politicians, they all need fired, as far as I'm concerned. You know it's bad if a guy like me jumped into politics, because this was never on my bucket list. I kind of like what I do. I like feeding cows. I like being out on the back 40, and I like just being left alone. But they've overstepped, and I'm going to come out fighting, and I'm going to fight for people, because this great state's worth fighting for. I'm running on the Republican ticket, and I'm doing that because it has the tool, the car with the tires. If I thought that you could run on an independent ticket and actually be successful, I'd be happy to do that. But that's not possible. We have to get DeWine out in the primary election. If we can't win the primary election, we cannot win. So we have to be successful May 3rd. That being said, conservatism. What is conservatism these days? Well, basically, what I define conservatism is upholding not only the United States Constitution, but our Ohio Constitution. It is the law of the land, and we see, especially the last 2 years, so many times, whether it was DeWine or Secretary of State LaRose, they scoop up our Constitution and throw it right out the back door. And I'm not going to have that. you're representing the people and upholding our Constitution, or you have no business in any of these political seats. So we're doing what we need to do to not only take over the governor's seat, but we're working behind the curtain, helping to get rid of our Secretary of State and on down. Whether it's our the Senate race and some local seats, but we have to take over the system. It's not only the governor. We need to we need to take over from dog catcher to the president of the United States, and that takes people getting involved. And who wants? And here's perceives the problem. Who in their right mind wants to jump into politics? Because it's an evil, disgusting business. I just knew a little bit. But jumping into this and being in this race for a year now, I'm eyes wide open. The corruptness, the mudslinging, it's bad, and it's going to get worse. These next 90 days, they're going to throw everything at me they can, and in a big way, and they got the money to do it. They have tens of millions of dollars at their fingertips. So we need to get back to what this country was built on, upholding our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, and we need to start using our 10th Amendment. When our governors meant out of Washington pushes all these laws, we can invoke our 10th Amendment, and we don't need to follow these laws put out of Washington, but we need somebody to navigate that path, and we need somebody in the governor's chair that has a backbone that'll stand up against Washington. And obviously, we see right now we don't have that. This guy, he rolls out the red carpet for the Biden administration, so he kind of needs to be gone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, with that, why you're running for on the Republican platform, and I agree. I think whenever we start to separate conservatives, and we hear a lot of conservatives trying to create more parties, even upon the parties that are already created, and I think that all that does is it really kind of separates the conservative movement. So I do appreciate you running on the Republican platform, and I think you're right. I think if you can, if you don't win primaries, and if you don't get, especially here in Ohio, I think you're right with DeWine. I think the way that he's been kind of ruling over Ohio here in especially the last 2 years, it's just been something that we need to try to get him out in the primaries if we're going to win. And so, yeah, I
Right.
absolutely appreciate you running on that platform too.
Right. Well, it's going to take a lot of people to get this done. I'm a realist, and unfortunately, a lot of these campaign races depend on lots of money. But that's why I drove off my farm last February, and we've been on the road 6, 7 days a week, all over this state, talking to just about anybody that'll sit still and listen to us. And I always say, that seed planted. We can plant that seed in people's minds, and then let them take off and let it grow in their community. And I truly believe that's what's happening around this state. I believe people are fed up, and they finally are getting involved. So it's a blessed sight.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And with you running as governor, I think really in the past couple of years, especially ever since COVID hit, I think is when it kind of opened people's eyes to realize that a governor is able to be of more impact in your day-to-day life as a citizen in whatever state you live in than whenever you go to Washington. I think we can see this a lot. And one of the greatest examples I can think of is Ron DeSantis out of Florida. I think he's done a great job down there. Whereas on
Yep.
the other side, you see guys like Andrew Cuomo or maybe even going up to the state up north, the Gretchen Whitmer, and seeing what she's done, or way out on the West Coast and seeing what Gavin Newsom has done and seeing the horrible things that they can do. So either having a good impact or a bad impact, and I think a governor can do a lot of that. And so, how much do you see being able to impact Ohioans' lives, whether it be for good or for bad? How much do you see yourself being able to impact the Ohioans' day to day life?
Well, obviously, we don't want to. We don't want to single-handedly run this state. We want to do it with our legislature, but obviously, if our legislature don't get off dead center, it's the governor's job to be the vocal hand to push our legislators. That's what Trump was good at. When he was in Washington, all the congressmen and senators, they didn't much care for him at first, or even when he took over. But finally, when he started getting some stuff done, they come around and, oh well, you're doing a heck of a job. But for the ones that still were kind of on the fence, he let if you had a congressman, or you had a senator that was stalling a bill, he let us know where the roadblock was. And that's what needs done here in Ohio. As a governor, I'd make sure that any bill that we need to pass, it's going to help the everyday life of an Ohioan. We need to just educate the communities of what bill it is, where it's at, and is your representative on board? Are they getting the job done? That's why nothing gets moved very fast down there in Columbus, because nobody's paying attention. And unfortunately, many people around this state, they don't even know who the representation is, whether it's in the House or the Senate. And therein lies a big problem, because these people want hired, and we send them to Columbus, and they are just praying and banking that we will forget all about them and we will not hold them accountable. And that's what's been done for decades. And that's why we're in such a mess we're in today, with our taxes so high, our businesses being overregulated, the government in our business, in our living rooms. We just need somebody in there that's going to work for the people again, and not looking to go down there and gain some kind of power or become rich. I'm all against a lifetime career in politics. I believe folks should take this chore up, go down there and do the job, and then go back home, just like our founding fathers. That's the way the system was designed, and I think it's an abuse of the system when some of these people are in there 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's if you're in there 40, 50 years, you're not doing nothing for us anymore. And matter of fact, you don't even relate to the people anymore.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of fixing to do.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes the best way that the government can help the people is just staying out of our lives. I
Yep.
think sometimes that's that, especially I think we've seen that a lot in the past couple of years for sure, ever since COVID's really kind of attacked the country.
Yep.
And one of the issues I think that holds of great importance to a lot of Ohioans, and really across the country, is our school systems and education for the children. And I think when you look down in Virginia and the way that Glenn Youngkin won his governor race, and seeing how he pulled away in the polls, I think it was mainly centered around that. So I just kind of wanted to see where you stood with and what you planned to do to both, to really kind of help, maybe things to protect, and also things to maybe improve the school systems here in Ohio.
Absolutely. Obviously our children are very important. And one, we need to be protecting our children. Our governor does not protect our children one bit. local public schools and the teachers unions are not protecting the children, they will sell them out in a moment. And we see that with the masking that's going on. There's no sense at all that these kids wear masks in the local public school system. That mask is more of an abuse to them than the virus itself, and it needs to stop. Also, Youngkin, he basically, people were done with this whole CRT nonsense, uh, you know, and it needs to be dealt with in this state too. We do need to pass legislation that there is no divisive uh, uh, curriculum taught like that in our local school systems, and we need to get a bill passed sooner than later. Also, some of this pornographic sex ed curriculum that needs to be out of schools too, and this teaching of multiple genders. We all know, there's two genders. There's boys and girls, and that's where it ends. That's the way God made it, and you can't choose which gender you are, and you can't identify as somebody else and go into the opposite bathroom. And these are the things we have going on in this state. And again, we need somebody to stand up and say, this is not happening in the state of Ohio. DeWine was very vocal. Matter of fact, my opposition, both Jim Renacci and Mike DeWine. DeWine said if a bill came out of legislature regarding only biological men play in men's sports and girls play in girls' sports and no crossovers, he said if a bill came around protecting girls and girls' sports, he would veto it. Again, that leftist woke ideology has no place in the state of Ohio. And then Mr. Jim Renacci, when he was a congressman under the Obama administration, he voted that burly men could go into the bathrooms with your little 8-year-old daughter, and that's not going to happen either. If you want that woke ideology, you need to go live in another state and not Ohio. We need to keep Ohio red, and that means we need to pass legislation that upholds Christian values. And I will be at the top of the game when that kind of curriculum or agendas are being pushed down our throat. Also, we need to get vocational ed back into every single school district in this state. For some reason, the narrative, and this has been going on not just 5-10 years, this has been going on for 20, 25, 30 years. The public school teachers pushing that the only way you're going to be successful in life is go to a 2 or 4-year college. And that's just not so. We need to make sure we're mentoring these young people and allowing them to research the skilled trade that, these people, these different industries, not only they will train you, but they'll pay you while they're training you. You shouldn't have to go into debt $100,000 to try to get a job. Now, I don't want to downplay college because, there are some industries, jobs that you need that. You do need that training, that college degree. But there's other options too, and we need to make sure that our young people know what options are out there and let them decide what's best for them. I'm a big proponent of skilled trades. I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer that I didn't go to college. Matter of fact, I didn't really care for academia. when I was in school, and being not interested or bored in school, I was the person that if I was interested in something, I'd go find the information. I would learn it. But just to sit in school and listen to a teacher just wasn't my gig. So you can be successful. You just got to have. I always tell young people, especially the young people that come to work for me on the farm. It's their very first job. Uh, just have a little grit and determination. Take the time and research, and you can be successful in this country. The opportunity's there. You just got to reach out and grab it and run with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm living proof that vocational school or any kind of trade schools definitely work because I've gone through trade school for being an electrician and things like that. And so that's it's definitely something you learn a lot more having more hands on. So absolutely, I can agree with you there. And
Yep.
then of course with all the different ideologies that we try to press on children, and children are the future America, and they really are. They are the future of this country, and here in Ohio, the future of our state. And so to really be pressing these these crazy ideas on them, they don't know any better. So it's definitely good to hear you on that note and trying to end that. And one thing that I think you and I both hold in common, I guess a couple of things, but of course, we're both involved in politics in some sense now. But then we're both Christians. And one of the things that really stands out to me when looking up for anyone I vote for is where they stand on really just the sanctity of life. And that's one of the things you have written down and your plan for Ohio. Can you kind of explain a little bit more on that and what your plans for protecting the sanctity of life would be for Ohio?
Well, yeah, that's a big priority for me. I'm ashamed at the Republican platform when it comes to abortion in this state. Uh, their default platform is they all say they're pro-life, and what pro-life means to them is 23,000 plus unborn children are being terminated annually in this state every year. Um, they want to regulate murder, and I'm just not going to have that. It's not godly, it's not righteous, and it should not be happening. We need to save lives. So I run on a abolitionist platform. I think we need to abolish uh, uh, abortion. We need to close down the Planned Parenthoods. We need the pro life organizations. They want it regulated too because those places are money making machines. So we need to shut the whole industry down, and we need to get back to uh, saving the unborn. And with that being said, I always talk about the young gal that's even thinking about an abortion. She's probably in a deep dark place. Maybe she doesn't have a family to lean on or a friend, and she probably thinks, well, it costs money. I don't. There's no options. This is what I got to do. Well, we as Christians, those are the folks we need to reach out to, and we need to put our arms around these people, and we need to say, we got you. We got you through this. We will help you. And at the end of the day, if you don't want that little beautiful baby when it's born, it's okay. We're not here to make you feel bad. We're just here to help, because we know. There'll be 10,000 parents lining up at the door, happy to take that little newborn baby. We know that. So we just need to refocus how we handle this, and have a Christian attitude, have our hand out there, draw people in, and if we get lucky enough, maybe we can even bring some people to the Lord and in the process.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and that's definitely the stand that I would take. And so I agree again. I agree with you wholeheartedly. and it is something, and people have the wrong idea of what we mean by abolishing abortion. And it's not to hurt anyone or to withhold any kind of health issues or anything like that, but it's simply just to stop murder. So absolutely, I can agree with you on that.
Yep.
And another thing as well, I know with you being a farmer, I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure you're, and of course from my own research as well, you're pro Second Amendment. Of course, you're pro First Amendment and all of this, but Second Amendment, I think there's a lot of people here in Ohio that want to make sure that their governor is pro Second Amendment, someone who's going to fight for their Second Amendment and not give that up. So, can you just kind of share a little bit more about your beliefs on the Second Amendment for Ohioans?
Well, absolutely. I grew up a country boy up in Columbiana County. I grew up on a backcountry gravel road. Grew up hunting, fishing, trapping. So guns and gun safety and gun use is, that's been my world when I was since I was, big enough to hold a gun. I had my first BB gun at about 4 years old. My first 410 single shot shotgun when I was 6 years old. So, I know how to use guns, and I wish that more parents would teach responsible gun firearm safety to their children, and it shouldn't be such taboo. It's just a gun, and with the proper use, it's there's nothing safer. So, our Second Amendment rights, to uphold our Second Amendment should not be infringed. To protecting our families, protecting our communities against the government. At no time will I ever give up my guns. And we need a strong governor who will stand and use our constitutional rights, because we haven't had that. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say, well, you should only be able to carry a gun down the street underneath your clothes if you get a permit. It doesn't say that in the Constitution. And obviously, we push all these nonsense laws, and these laws only affect law-abiding gun owners. The bad guys, they could care less what laws are on the books. They're going to do whatever they want when they want to do it. So the only folks you're restricting is law-abiding gun owners. We need to get rid of all these gun laws. We need to make this a Second Amendment sanctuary state, constitutional carry. And with that being said, I'd like to get every single county sheriff at a round table in this state the first week of becoming governor, and one, make sure they're constitutionalists, and two, make sure that if need be, if we make this or when we make this a Second Amendment sanctuary state, that if we need them on the state line to arrest federal regulators coming across our borders, well, that's what we need. We need to make sure our sheriffs are there. They have that authority. Nobody has as much power in the county as a county sheriff. So I just want to make sure that they realize the power that they have, and they're willing to use that power to uphold the rights of Ohioans.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was going through all of these and as I made up these questions, I figured maybe you would say something that we could debate about. But it seems like everything you said, I agree with you. And I'm extremely happy as an Ohioan to have somebody I can actually put my vote behind and feel comfortable with it. Again, between you being a constitutionalist, wanting to uphold not just the U.S. Constitution but also Ohio's Constitution, and then the fact that you're a Christian and the things that kind of go behind Christian morality. That's something that's really the reason why this podcast ever started. Is really just the idea of Christian morality in America. But one more thing before I let you leave, Of course, not all of our listeners here on this podcast are from Ohio. So, what advice do you think you might have for others who are voting for maybe governors or other state legislation and other offices around in their own states?
Well, when I go around this state, I try to inspire people. Whether I'm successful or not, God has a plan here. And I think that the biggest part of that plan is inspiring people to get involved, working, finding good candidates, good Christian candidates they can get behind and help get elected. You know, uh, you can't beat. The commitment of your community. I don't care how much money you have, you can't beat that. So if you can inspire people to get involved, I truly believe that money will not be a factor, but you have to instill what you believe in people's hearts, that they're willing to commit with time and dedication and hard work in helping you get elected. That's kind of how we're running our campaign. That's the biggest thing is I always say just speak from the heart. When I go give speeches, I say a little prayer and just ask God to give me the words, and He does. And I feel that I'm not talking at people. I'm talking to people, and my message is touching their heart, because they know that they get me into the governor's seat, and I'm going to fight like heck for them. And that's what we want. We want somebody. We don't want a leader, and I don't want to be anybody's leader. I want to be people's representative. I want to go to Columbus, and I want to show that a blue-collar working farmer can walk off his farm, go to the highest seat in this state, and bring the power back to the people where it's been stolen from. And it's going to take everybody just to put some work into it to get this done. So that's across this country. I mean, it's pretty simple. I always say it's common sense, and common sense is not common anymore. So you just have to get out there and touch people's hearts and inspire them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's very well said. So that's pretty much all the questions I had for you. So I won't pick your brain too much more. But I guess any other words to maybe the Ohioans, anyone else that might be listening?
I just want to say, if you've never heard me before, or you want to come out to one of our events, get on our Blystone, forgovernor.com, and that's spelled out. And get on the events there, find out where exactly we're going to be. A matter of fact, we'll be up in Mansfield here. I'm thinking the next couple weeks. So if there's somebody up around that area that's listening, come out and see us. If you want to ask questions, shake my hand, look into my eyes, and just kind of know who Joe Blystone is and what makes him tick. I invite you, because that's where it starts. If I can win you over, then you're going to work hard to help me be successful. And I just ask everybody to make sure that you're saying your prayers every day, because at the end of the day, what is most important, or what should be most important, is we're saving lives, and we're showing the love and respect and the Christian attitude of what society can be, what community can be, and I think that if we could just get more people thinking about goodness and righteousness and godliness, this world can get better. I know it can, but you gotta just get in there and just lay it in God's hands, and just let Him work. Just believe, and he will. He'll be right there to pick you up, and he'll be right there to take you places if you believe and do what he says. So that's that's all I got to say tonight, and I thank you, Josh, for having me on your show here. I sure do appreciate it, and maybe between now and May, maybe we could get back on here again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you for taking out some time out of your schedule. I know you're a busy man, but appreciate you for coming on. Mm.
Absolutely. Well,
But
God bless you, and we will talk soon.
all right, sounds good. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
And there you have it, everyone. Joe Blystone running for Ohio governor. I encourage you to go look him up, check him out, and just for those who are listening from Ohio, absolutely, like he said, go and check it out, and go to his events, go check him out, and learn more about him. Personally, I think before today, I was pretty positive that this might be the guy that I want to vote for myself. But after the interview, I think I can definitely put my name behind Joe Blystone and give my support to him. So again, a huge thanks to Joe for coming on the show, and I think he can do a lot of good for Ohio, and hopefully with what he can do for Ohio, for those who are listening from outside of Ohio, hopefully that can be an encouragement to others outside of Ohio as well. I think that our governors here in the U.S. have a lot of power, and they can either use that power for good or use it for bad. And I think it's important for us to go out and make sure that we are voting for these people who are having the most impact on our state, because they really do hold the most, really the highest seat in what can impact your state. So make sure to go check out Joe Blystone. Again, that's blystoneforgovernor.com. I believe is his website. Look him up and check out his event dates and go see him. And of course, May 3rd, whenever you go to the voting polls here in Ohio, make sure to vote for Joe Blystone. I will definitely endorse him, as I think I can agree with just about everything he said today for sure, and I'm sure much more. But that's all we have for today. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you once again for listening, for watching, for supporting Politically Insane. If you have made it this far, make sure to share. Make sure to share this video on social media or with your friends, your family, whoever else you might think wants to hear our message. And then also make sure to give us a 5-star rating on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. You can also support us by going to politicallyinsane.us/shop and seeing all of our merchandise there, as well as repping and supporting us in your day-to-day life. You can always go over to politicallyinsane.us and click on the sources tab to find all of our sources and where we get our information. Thank you so much for your support, for your continued support,